Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on another LinkedIn webinar. Really appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. Love to see all the people from different countries, different industries, and different businesses. It's just great for us to see that, and it makes it much more interesting for us at this end as well. So, as always with these webinars, I'm going to dive in as quickly as I can. Today's session is around how to make 2023 the best sales year possible for you, and we're going to be talking about your go-to-market strategy. Now, go-to-market strategy, if I was to try and distill that down into what does that actually mean, it's how is it that you're going to approach the market? How is it that you're going to sell your goods, promote and sell your goods and services? So it's maybe a big fancy title for a more simplified thing. And what I'm going to share with you is exactly what the process that we've been going through as a business and how it applies to us now. If I can just switch screens here and just bear with me. Just give me 2 seconds to send the next one live. So go-to-market sales strategy, and I think it'd be fair to say that with regards the sales strategy, we're going to be talking more about you potentially as an individual. If you're interested in this and you would like more information, more detailed information on how you can apply this in your company, we've got some live workshops. We're getting out of the office now that the lockdowns have gone. We're getting out, and we're going to be in London in April, Berlin in May, and Mumbai. Full disclosure, these are paid events, but needless to say, we'd obviously love you to come. But we're running these in London, Berlin, and Mumbai. And if for whatever reason you cannot attend these events, and you'd like us maybe to come and deliver this at your in your own business, then please feel free to get in touch with us. So with that out of the way, let's move on. So if you don't know me, my name's Ian Swanston. I'm the founder and CEO of Klozers. I've been running the business since 2014 we started, and probably like most entrepreneurs and maybe most small businesses, it's had its ups and downs, and but it's been interesting, and everything from as you can imagine, like a lot of companies, we were delivering traditional face-to-face sales training. Lockdowns came along, and we lost within 5 days, 1 week. We lost 100% of our order book. We lost 100% of our pipeline, and we're sitting there wondering what the future is going to hold. So thankfully, we've managed to get our heads around things and make things work. And all I can say is God bless the internet and virtual remote selling, whatever you call it. So numbers in front of you: 1,467. 1,467 is the number of marketing generated leads that we created in 2022. Marketing generated leads. And a lot of people are going, well, you know what, marketing generated leads, it's a lead, it's not marketing qualified, so that doesn't mean it potentially doesn't mean anything. 42.22% is the conversion ratio of our marketing qualified leads, not our sales qualified leads, our marketing qualified leads. So in 12 months, we created 1,467 marketing leads, and from those, obviously there's a process going through the sales process, moving from marketing to marketing qualified, and of those marketing qualified leads, we converted 42.22. Now, that is up from the previous year, which I think was 27%. And one of the things that I try and get people to understand is you've got to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, right, you've got no baseline for where you're going to make any improvements. You've got no baseline to measure if you're standing still, going backwards, or going forwards. So the first thing I would encourage everybody in the call, whether you're an individual salesperson, whether you're a business, you've got to know your numbers. The metrics that I'm using and we use, you don't necessarily need to use those same metrics, but work out what are the metrics for you that are important in your sales world, and you've got to know those numbers, because now that we know those numbers from 2022, surprise, surprise, we want to increase both of those numbers. So, part of our sales strategy, part of the sales plan, is to increase those numbers to get more leads and still increase the 42.22%. And we genuinely believe, despite what's going on in the economy, we genuinely believe we're only scratching at the surface of it. So, I'm going to try and take you through the approach. I will definitely show you the approach, but I'll try and explain how you can maybe apply it in your world to help you get started on this. So, if you think about your business, and there may well be salespeople on the, well, I know there's salespeople on this call. If you bear with me, I'm talking about the business in general, but I will pivot to how this affects you as a salesperson, and it actually will make sense. So if you just bear with me, right, if you're a salesperson, please don't think, well, this is about business, it doesn't apply to me because I don't have control over marketing, I don't have control over X and Y. Don't worry, this will all make sense if you just bear with me. So, most companies have got maybe not the best product or service in the world, but they've got a pretty good product or service. If you're still in business after 2-3 years, you've got to be doing something right. And the reality is that, on a 1 to 6 in terms of perfect, your reputation in the marketplace, most companies, SMEs and mid-market organizations, are probably between, a 3.5 and a 5.5. Very few of them are up at 6, right? But they're equally, they're not a basket case. They're not a complete disaster. They're doing a lot more things right than they are wrong. However, where the majority of SMEs and mid-market companies that are actually coming to us, the reason they're struggling is because they need to get to that top right quadrant. Now, that top right quadrant, if you think about it, is the brands that I've listed there. They are, I accept those are B2C and we're B2B. It's the concept I'm trying to explain here. And those particular brands have actually got the awareness, on a scale of 1 to 6, awareness in their market, they've got it nailed. And what I would suggest, it doesn't have to be everybody. You're not targeting everybody. It's only the people in your ideal client profile that need to be aware of you. So don't think about targeting everybody, but you need to make sure that everybody in your ideal client profile has an awareness of your brand. And quite often, I've got no idea if this is factually correct, but nearly every marketeer, every branding expert will tell you that you have to have at least 7 touches before you can build that trust in your brand that somebody's going to potentially do business with you. Potentially, if you've got a low value more transactional product or service, you could maybe get away with less touches. If you've got a higher value, higher cost, maybe a higher risk involved in the project, then you're going to maybe need 10 touches. But if you think of that as a concept, not as a rule book, and just think about where that would apply in your world, and how many times are you touching these people? How many times are you keeping your brand right front of mind so that they know exactly who you are and what you do, what you're famous for, what your expertise is. So when they are in the market, they know, I need to go and speak to George over at ABC. So if I just move forward, here's what we, as a company, here's what we managed to come up with. Because I started to think about, well, what actually is sales? What constitutes sales? How do I try and decipher this for my own for my own sanity as I'm trying to build my business? And here's what I came up with. And I looked around at other companies, and I'm pretty sure that whilst they may be calling it different things, if I just walk you through this, it might start to make sense. So, competitive advantages plus demand generation equals sales. The first thing I would like you to think about is sales is an output, not an input. Sales happens as a result of other things happening in the business. other activities, other tasks. Sales is an output, not an input. And the contributors to that are competitive advantages and demand generation. Think of competitive advantages as why buy from me, and demand generation as, hey, I'm over here, come and talk to me. So, and this, if you just think about this, the more effort and time you put into competitive advantages and demand generation, sales becomes a walk in the park. Now, let me just give you an easy example of this. Round the corner from our old office in Edinburgh, there's an Apple store in Princes Street. And because they've got the competitive advantages nailed, because they've got that demand generation, right? People, there's no selling. You know, when you go into an Apple store, people walk in and say, "Excuse me, I'm looking to buy an iPhone 13, 14, whatever it is." Right? That, you know, it's a service-based sale, because they've got so good, you know, on their competitive advantages and that demand generation, they've got that nailed. Sales, that the output then is much easier for them. When you don't get the competitive advantages nailed, when you can't do the demand generation or it's weak, sales becomes like wading through treacle. It becomes a complete slog. And trust me, I've absolutely been there where, you know, not only could you not close a barn door, you couldn't get in front of a barn door to close it. So I've absolutely been there, and I can genuinely speak from experience. So competitive advantages, demand generation. Let's try and dig into this in a little bit more detail. So in my book, competitive advantages they have to be unique. You have to have some form of differentiator. It's got to be unique, right? And the stronger that your competitive advantages are, the easier the sale becomes. So don't think of, I've got one competitive advantage. Think of 3, 4, 5 compelling reasons that are screaming out at the customer, saying you'd be mad not to buy, not to buy from this company. And what I would suggest is that if you're in a service-based industry, this becomes very difficult. You know, with the greatest respect, one recruiter looks very much like another recruiter. One telco supplier looks very much like another telco supplier. So one insurance provider looks very much like an insurance provider. So for service-based industries, it's much more difficult, is my belief. If you're a technology-based company, you could certainly do stuff around IP. IP is obviously going to be important for you. Features and benefits. Somebody's maybe thinking features and benefits. Yes, they are. However, I would argue that features and benefits are not. They're certainly not great, and the reason for that is because somebody's always going to be copying you. Your competitors are going to be chasing you down, and what's unique about your feature set this year will be commonplace in the market next year, and you're going to have to keep building on that features and benefits set, and that becomes expensive. It's heavily R&D based. And it can almost be a race to the bottom in terms of profitability, because you're spending so much money trying to build a different and unique feature set. So, but think about 3, 4, 5 compelling reasons when you're talking to a prospect that is going to make it think, you know what, I've got to try this. I've got to give this company a try. And it's difficult. I'd be quite honest. It's taken us years to get to a point where we get that 42.22% conversion ratio, where we hopefully look and sound different. And one of the things that I'm always conscious about in our business is that it's not enough to talk the talk. We've got to walk the walk, and we've got to. We never train and coach on things that we're not using in our own business. And one of the things, for example, we're a training company. And one of the things, if you just go to our website, right? If you go to our website, the image on the home page, the header, the first thing it says, don't buy sales training. So immediately we're trying to position ourselves differently to other training companies. And a little bit of a pattern interrupt there by saying don't buy sales training. But so it's a combination of a pattern interrupt and a point of differentiation. So there's ways that you can differentiate yourself that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, right? Through branding, through your messaging, which are equally important. And but it's all got to be seamless. There's no point somebody reading some sort of message about don't buy sales training, and then when they get on a call with a sale, one of the well, it's myself, obviously, at Klozers, I'm actually going to try and sell them sales training. There's no fit there. So it's got to be congruent. Whatever your sales and marketing have got to be aligned, and whatever the messaging is on your website, it's got to be congruent with the sales message when they actually talk to a salesperson. So competitive advantage is hugely important. What feeds into these, I just alluded to that, is brand. And brand is not just the visual aspects, but it's the space that you own in their mind. What is it they think about you, and I think maybe a good way to also think about that is what is their expectation of a supplier that you would like to be. So one of the things that we did, for example, is we put multi-languages on our website because we're part of our ICP is bigger companies with remote sales teams who need remote training and coaching. Well, quite often we're dealing with people who are abroad. Obviously, they don't necessarily speak English, and we've got the different languages on there. And immediately, from a branding perspective, when any of these ICPs come to the website, they can see, okay, this company doesn't just deal with the UK, they deal internationally. And just as an example of how that then follows through, I was up till 10, I started a coaching call last night at 10 p.m. in the evening. Because of the time difference, a new client in Melbourne, Australia, there's 11.5 hours ahead of our time difference. So we've got clients this last week we closed deals in Spain, New York, and I think Frankfurt. So part of the strategy then, and it all feeds through the languages feed through into actual revenue. But you've got to think about what does your brand represent, and what is it? How do you want to position yourself differently? So again, we wanted to position ourselves as a company that could deal with international clients and coach and train remote sales teams who are working disparately throughout Europe and throughout the world. So think about what that is, brand, position. And again, if I use the Apple example, and I'm not an Apple fan, full disclosure, I don't like Apple as a brand, but Apple have done a phenomenal job branding their company, and their position is, they really are technology leaders, innovative, and really an aspirational brand, if you like. So all of that feeds into this. Next up, once you've got those competitive advantages, think about, again, from a business perspective, we're talking here, but if you're a salesperson, please bear with me, because this is going to make sense in the end. Once you've got those competitive advantages, you need to do what we call demand generation. And demand generation is basically, hey, we're over here, come and talk to us. You've got to get in front of people, and you've got to once you get in front of them, you've got to make sure that you stay in front of them in terms of being front of mind. So sending somebody one email every 6 months, they will forget about you. Right, you've got to be sending email. You've got to be doing things on LinkedIn. You've got to have a web presence, and you've got to be doing a number of things. If we go back to the 7 touches, right, it's much more powerful if the 7 touches are on different channels. So don't just do seven phone calls. 1 phone call, 1 email, 1 LinkedIn. One PPC or whatever, the more varied the touches, all of a sudden your prospects thinking, gosh, this brand is everywhere, this company's everywhere. And then obviously when you get in front of them, the messaging is really, really important. So the messaging has got to make you look and sound different to your competitors. So, whilst obviously copywriting is a complete art in itself, and I would encourage you to look into it and learn as much as you can. Words it's much cheaper to change the words than it is to build an additional feature set on your application or into your business. Words are the most powerful tool. Words are what, when we're on the telephone, get us appointments. Words are what we write down on proposals to get us quotations. Words are what we use in demos and presentations to close deals. So words, I could never underestimate the importance of words and your messaging. And what is your value proposition, and how are you conveying that to the market? And hopefully this altogether begins to make some sense for you. So think about, here's some things to think about. How would you describe your brand? Let's pretend you would describe, if your brand was a car, is it I don't know, is it a Volvo or is it Mercedes? Is it a Ford? Is it a Jaguar? Think about it like that. If it was a supermarket, is it a Morrison's or is it a Waitrose? And forgive me, I'm just reminding myself there's people international that have probably never heard of those supermarkets. So hopefully you get the idea. What position is your company taking? Are you seen? And maybe this is a cop out for me because it's the easiest one. My go-to in terms of position is you've got to be a thought leader. You've got to be a subject matter expert. Nobody wants to deal with generalists anymore. You've got to be that thought leader in the industry, the go-to person, if you like, within your industry. And then moving into the awareness, what does your company do to raise awareness in the market? And one of the simple things that you could think about is just think about volume. How many communications, whether it be tweets, LinkedIn posts, emails, telephone calls, just, and this is a very rough exercise, add up every single outbound connection, outbound communication, I beg your pardon, that you're sending every week. And let's pretend it's 100. In your plan, right, 10x that and make it 1,000. So if you're doing 10 tweets a week, do 100 tweets a week. If you're doing and this doesn't quite fit, don't post any more than once a day on LinkedIn because the algorithm will penalize you. But if you're only posting once a week, post 7 times a week. Post every single day. Post from your business, your company page, and then repost that, share it from your individual pages so that you're getting more eyeballs on it. The more outbound communications you're doing, the more people you're going to get in front of, and the more people are going to remember and resonate with your brand. And the last one, bottom right, make sure that the messaging actually, whilst it's great, we look at words, we look at messaging, and we think, well, that makes sense and that looks great. Make sure that you test it and get feedback from prospects, get feedback from customers. When you're talking to prospects in a discovery call, they should be saying things like, that's interesting, I've never seen anything like this before. That's interesting, that's different. That's interesting, nobody else does this. The reason we got the deal in Melbourne was the sales leader there said, I remember vividly the words, the words were, and I gently challenged, I said, do you mind if I ask why you're based in Melbourne? We'd love to do business with you, but do you mind if I ask why you're not dealing with MD Local? I said, nobody does what you do. Nobody does what you do. And that's because of the way that it was positioned, and the messaging conveyed that position to be different. So it's super important what those words are, and I promise it will make a huge impact in your business. So we've talked about what we've been talking about is your business, but the great thing about the sales formula is it actually applies to salespeople, us salespeople. I'm a salesperson. I've been a salesperson all my life. I love sales. I love what I do. Being quite honest, why would you not want to be in sales when you're closing 42% of your deals, your leads? It's just a great job. I wake up and dive into my CRM, desperate to see who I can call and what deals I can progress that particular week or that particular day. So I love sales. So this is the sales formula for salespeople. It's the same thing. So let me try and explain why it's the same. You don't have a company brand, you've got a personal brand. You don't have a company brand, you've got a personal brand. So what is your personal brand? It's what prospects and clients say about you behind your back. And you can measure the value of your personal brand by the number of unsolicited referrals you receive. If you're not getting people message you, email you, phone you and say, hi, you don't know me, but I was given your name by George, and George suggested I talk to you about pain point ABC. If you're not getting those sorts of calls, there's something wrong with your personal brand. Now, in most cases, it's because they don't think of themselves as a personal brand. They don't think of themselves as a brand ambassador for the company, and they need to lift the activity levels on things like LinkedIn, via social selling, and even face-to-face marketing. All the different channels. The more channels you're on, the better. So it's super important that you grow your personal brand. And as I said, most people just haven't thought about it. It's not that they've got a bad personal brand. It's just that they've never actually thought about it and taken control of it. So if you're not sure what your personal brand is, Google your name and see what it comes up with. And I've had clients do this, and they've turned and said, "Oh my God! Apparently, I'm a Canadian porn star." And one genuinely true example: when I was trying to close a deal with Microsoft in our local head office here in the country based in Scotland, in one of the conversations, they suggested that we get in touch with a gentleman from Microsoft corporate headquarters in Redmond, and his name was Bob McDowell, and Bob McDowell's retired now. Excuse me, but Bob was a senior vice president, and they suggested we should get in touch with Bob to get Bob's feedback, and they were going to arrange the meeting. And I came out of the office, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm thinking, how on earth are they going to? This Bob is going to go and look and do some due diligence about me and my business. How's he going to do that? What's he going to do? He's going to get on the internet, and obviously Bob's a Microsoft man, so he's going to do Bing. So use Bing if Bing's your thing, or use Google, but do that search. And when I searched for myself, I actually was a Tupperware salesperson who would go into ladies' homes in the evening hosting Tupperware parties. Now, it wasn't me, but it was somebody with the exact same name as me who happened to live 20 minutes from where I live. So you could see there's some confusion there. And trust me, Microsoft are never going to give any sales training to a Tupperware salesperson. So I had to. I spent 6 months then making sure that I got the Tupperware salesperson off page one of Google, and I got myself on there. And I think if you search for my name, Ian Swanston, he might still have the odd entry on page one of Google, but he's certainly there on page two. I think he's moved away from Tupperware sales, and he's got he also had what I would describe as a Scooby-Doo van, and he was like a mobile disco DJ. So again, that's not the sort of person that you're going to hire for a trainer. And if he's listening to this, he probably hates me, and forgive me, but I needed to get onto page one probably more than you did. So moving forward, after personal brand, I talked about thought leadership, being that subject matter expert. As salespeople, you've got to be the go-to person. Knowledge is king. You've got to invest the time to learn, not just about your product and services. You've got to learn about your customer, but also go deeper than that. Understand your customer's customer, because when you understand your customer's customer, you can help your customers sell to them. So don't just stop at understanding your customer, understand your customer's customer, because then you can help them be more successful. And the only way you're going to do this is immerse yourself in learning and invest in the most important person in the world, yourself. You're only going to be in God's earth once, so learning is the only way you're going to grow. Right? You're not going to get my first job when I was 14 years old. I was working on a farm, and I was paid an hourly rate to lift bags of potatoes from A to B, and bags of cabbages and whatnot. I was paid for manual labour. Nobody's paid for manual labour that's on this call. All of us are paid for thinking and what's between their ears. So invest in that. Invest in your own personal development. And I'm not just talking about sales training. I'm talking about anything that's personal development. So I'm learning German language. I'm hoping to enroll in a course, a business strategy course at Harvard this year. And I'm hoping to enroll on a brand strategy course also later this year. So I'm doing lots more. It doesn't have to be about sales, but it all helps me, because it all helps me learn more and make me a little bit smarter than I am at the moment. So knowledge can be a differentiator when you're a salesperson. So I would urge you to invest in your own learning. Next up, sales activity. That's the awareness piece, right? We've got to be doing sales activity, but it cannot just be any old activity. Sales is the easiest job in the world to keep yourself busy, but busy does not equal effective, right? We've got targets. Targets are the what, and the activities are the how, right? So you've got to make yourself accountable, right? And you've got to do that activity and work as hard as you can. There are no successful salespeople who are lazy. Every successful salesperson is a hard worker. They're grafting. Now, you may quite rightly be concerned with your work-life balance. I don't have an issue with that. I would encourage you to get a good work-life balance, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells me that if you're not happy at home, you're not going to be able to be performing at work as best as you could. So I would encourage you to get a good work-life balance. I would be honest enough to admit that I do not work 100 hours a week. For example, on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday, I don't start work till 9:30. I read all these posts on LinkedIn about people starting work at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4:30, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I don't start till 9:30. I don't start till 9:30 because I'm being selfish. On a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I go to the gym. And I drive to the gym. I spend an hour in the gym. I drive home. I have a shower. And that helps me feel good. It helps me get me in the right mentally. It gets me in the right place. So I'm not advocating that you need to work 60, 70 hours a week, and I don't do that. So you don't need to do that. You've got to work smart. You've just got to focus on being effective. So turn your sales goals into sales plans, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that and make sure that you're doing those actions. And we've got a template that I can share with you at the end if it's of interest. So next up, messaging. Messaging for an individual salesperson, it's about the communication skills. It's about how we talk to our customers, and not just the words that we use, but how we convey those words, how we respond. So interesting situation where we had a training session set up for a team of, it was a small team of 6 people. The invitations went out to the session. Before the session started, I was having a call with the sales manager, and he's talking me through the different members of the team. And I said to the gentleman, I said, I bet you I can tell who the top performer in the team is. And he looked at me and he said, how, you've never met them? And I said, it is John Smith. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, because John Smith was the first one to actually accept the invitation request to the meeting. And that tells me that John Smith has thought, oh, what's this invitation? What's this meeting about? Okay, what is it about? Right, I need to do that. All he had to do was hit click, accept the request, and he's moved on. Right, all the others have left it in the diary. Now, they either don't want to come, which is another story, and I'm okay with that as well. They don't want to come, or they're maybe not organised enough. Maybe haven't done the research. Maybe haven't decided whether for whatever reason. Right, the way that we respond, the speed that we respond is crucial. We have lost deals because the sales inquiry, the email went in the spam, got caught in the spam filter. I call them back the next day and I've lost it. It's gone. Now that's the odd deal. Our sales cycle, I think the sales cycle for us at the average is 48 days at the moment. So that doesn't happen often, but you've got to be on top of things. You've got to respond. And we've definitely won deals where we've been the fastest to respond. And sometimes we've got the deal, right? Believe it or not, there was one deal we got 2 weeks later, and at least one of the competitors still hadn't responded in 2 weeks. So it just sends the wrong message. It's the wrong communication style. You've got to, when you don't respond, you don't look interested. When you respond quickly, you look interested. People want you to be interested in them. So think about all the different things in terms of your communication that you could potentially improve. One simple thing I would suggest you implement is 24-hour rule. The 24-hour is so simple. You will always respond to a customer within 24 hours. That doesn't mean you need to give them the answers. Sometimes you might send them what we call a holding email saying, "Hi, thanks for your email. I just want to acknowledge I've got it. Right, I'm going to go away and I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I will get back to you by close of play on Friday the 25th or something." So don't be frightened to use a holding email, but respond within 24 hours. Because if you don't, they're sitting there thinking, "Did he get my email? Why is he not responding? Right? Doesn't he care about me anymore?" So you've got to respond within 24 hours. And if it's a sales email, a new inquiry, the quicker you can jump onto a brand new inquiry, the better. Research from Harvard says that if you're those that respond within the first hour, or I forget the percentage, but something like 60, 70% more likely to win the deal. So the quicker that you can respond, at the longest for a new inquiry, forgive me, I would suggest it should be a 1 hour, right? That should be your service level agreement, 1 hour for a new sales inquiry. And, think about yourself as a brand, right? And do whatever you can to actually differentiate yourself and make yourself look bigger, better, stronger, smarter, whatever's going to be relevant as your personal brand I'm talking about. So, bigger, I don't mean your waist size like me. Bigger, what I mean is your persona in the market, your awareness in the market. Okay. Better, how can you be a better person? Make sure that you're giving, make sure you're practicing gratitude, make sure that you're helping people. Take yourself out of the equation and just do everything you can to help people. One of the things that we say in our discovery calls is, look, if we're not right for you, if there's no fit between what it is you're looking for and what we do, I'll try and point you in the right direction. I won't leave you stuck. I'll point you in the right direction to somebody that can do what you're looking for, right? And the minute, I would like to think that genuine desire to help people, right, and get them to find the right solution for them, I would like to think that comes over and they can, they feel comfortable with that. So, improve your communication skills. So, salespeople, there is your personal sales formula for 2023. There's the areas that you need to focus on, and life is not perfect. I don't expect you to be perfect. I am a million miles away from perfect. I'm a million miles away from being the best salesperson. I don't need to be the best salesperson. I've got so much activity going on, right? And I've got so much leads in my pipeline. I don't have to be great. All I need to do is, I do my best because I genuinely care. I do my best to win each deal, every deal, because I'm a sales guy. I win every deal. I go chasing deals I've got no right to win, right? And that's possibly a mistake on my part. But I want to chase every deal down. I genuinely care, but when I don't win, I just go, okay, next, and I can afford to be not blasé, but I can afford to go next because I got a full pipeline. Because I do the prospecting, I do the business development, I do the lead generation. I generate all my leads. Nobody's feeding me. I've got 7 sales trainers to keep busy, right? Not just myself. So I generate all the sales leads. I generate deals. I close deals. If I don't sell anything, my kids don't eat. So I'm no different to you, right? And I've got this business here to run. So I'm no different. I'm a sales guy at heart. I'm not a business person. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just a sales guy who's having fun and enjoying being able to help other salespeople. So here's your personal sales formula. And if I go back to this, right, one of the things that's helped me the most, and some things that I can explain are facts and I can show you data. This next bit, I'm not going to be able to show you any data to back this up, but I'm sure you're going to get it. The more I work at the top of my funnel and the fuller my sales pipeline is, the easier it is to close deals. The fuller my pipeline is, the easier it is for me to close deals. And part of that is because I've got confidence. I'm not nervous. I've got the confidence to ask maybe difficult questions, and I come over. I can afford to want to help rather than be needy and desperate. Now, you might not think that you're needy and desperate, but trust me, when you've only got 3 deals in your pipeline for that month, you don't think it. But prospects can smell, they're like Dobermans. They can smell it. Right? They can smell who's desperate. They can smell who they're going to beat up on price. Right? Nobody beats me up on price because I don't give them that opportunity. That aura isn't around me. I just say, look, if it's not for you, that's okay. I totally understand it, right? And I'll try and point them to whatever it is they want to do. If they're looking for a magic wand training course that isn't going to work, right? I'll say, I'll point out all the reasons that we don't do that, right? But I'll still point them in the direction of somebody that does a magic wand training course. Right, so I genuinely want to help. I can afford to genuinely want to help because I've got a full pipeline, because I do my lead gen, I do my prospecting. So nobody wants to hear this. You probably hate me now when I've switched off, but lead generation, prospecting, whatever it is in your world, right, you've got to do it. You got to do that. You've got to get your head around that. Now, here's what I do, right? No secrets here. I'm being completely open. Those are exactly the activities that I do. I'm doing all of this on my own. I don't even have a marketing department. So all the inbound stuff on the left-hand side, I've got to do myself. I've got to do all that stuff myself, like email marketing. I sent an email campaign out to promote this webinar on Tuesday, and a CEO of a company hit reply and said, I can't make the webinar, but here's my online diary. Can you book a slot in my online diary? Boom, I've got a sales lead for myself. So, and remember, I closed 42.22% of those deals. So there's a 4 out of 10 chance that I'm going to close that deal from that one email. So, all of this, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I left school at 15. Education wasn't for me. The first time I went to university, I was actually teaching in the business school at Strathclyde. So I'm not a super smart guy. Right? I work hard, right? And I try and be as effective as I can. And those are the different activities that I do. There's lots more activities I could do, but I just don't have the time. I run out of time. Those activities might not work for you. You find what activities do work for you, right? And if you're not sure what activities work, go back, look at your CRM for 2022, find out the best deals, look at the best deals, and look at the lead source from those deals in 2022, and double down on those lead sources. It's dead simple. Look at your CRM for 2022. You'll find out where the best deals came from, identify the top 10 deals, right? And then look at what the lead sources were from those top 10 deals, and then double down on those lead gen strategies. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. In a lot of cases, the data's there. Some of it some of it will maybe be alike and similar to my own. Some of it won't. That's okay. I'm just putting this down so that you can see what we do as a business and what works for us. Who should I talk to for your sales plan for 2023? Who should I be talking to? So, existing customers. You've done the hard work. You've got existing customers. You want to keep them and you want to grow them. So start off there. That's going to be the low-hanging fruit where you can build your pipeline up. And those are the sorts of things that you're going to be looking for. Repeat orders, new requirements, special offers. Special offers. Here we go back to the wording and the messaging again. new departments or new initiatives they've maybe got in the business, and then the customer's DMU, decision-making unit. Make sure that you talk to the other people in the customer's decision-making unit, not just the one or two internal champions that you've got. New business, lapsed customers, failed bids. So one of the things that we've managed to close in the latter part of 2022 was deals that we didn't win in 2021 because they went off for a magic wand training session, and you know, surprise, surprise, it didn't work. But 1 year later, because we're keeping in touch with them, we're doing that awareness piece. They say, okay, let's have a conversation. So make sure that on your mailing list, your outbound mailing list, you're emailing, telephoning even, deals, old deals where you've maybe quoted, put in quotations, proposals, whatever the language is in your world, and you're actually contacting these people, and you are keeping in touch with them, because if they buy once, in most cases they're going to buy twice. So make sure that you keep in touch with them. Old leads, you know, a lot of old leads didn't actually buy anything. Priorities changed, initiatives changed. So look at old leads. Lookalike prospects. What is that? So lookalike is if you've got if you're selling into, say, like the verticals hospitality, and you're selling into I don't know, hotel franchises. You know, you know what I mean. Marriott, Holiday Inn, all those Ramada, all those franchise chains. If you're selling into one franchise chain, what's to stop you selling into another franchise chain? So they are lookalike prospects, and obviously you've got to be working your existing clients gently and respectfully for referrals. Where, you know, referrals are always easier to close, and when you get that warm introduction, you know, that's the icing on the cake for us salespeople. And if you want more referrals, remember Emerson's law of compensation: givers gain. The more you give, the more ye shall receive. So if you want more referrals, give referrals. Give referrals to your customers. Make sure that you're referring in as many deals into customers as you can. If you cannot, if for some reason you can't do that, find out how you can do that. Help them sell more, and they will love you forever. So we've talked about this sort of bigger picture stuff, right? How do I bring this to light? Let me just change screens here, and I'm going to share my actual screen with you. Hopefully this is going to work now, so bear with me. Right, so I'm just going to share my screen here, and what I'm going to do here is see if I can find some other content. Stop that presentation. Forgive me, I'm all fingers and thumbs and this isn't working, so bear with me. The content I want isn't here. But so forgive me, I cannot find I'm all fingers and thumbs, I can't find the content here. What I was going to share with you was a 90-day action plan. So exactly as it says on the tin, it's a 90-day action plan, and I will share with you a template. And if you want to email me, my email address is Ian, IAIN, @klozers.com, KLOZ, if you're calling in from North America, KLOZERS.com. If you email me, I will share with you my own 90-day plan, and that will show you how I mark out my goals, how I then align that with the activities, how I measure success, right, and how I then work that into any development needs that I need. So I will share that with you. So I'm going to share you. I won't just share the template. I'll share you the template, my own one, so that it's completed, so that it gives you an idea of what goes in what box and how you can actually populate it from your perspective. If you're stuck in any way, shape, or form, I'm more than happy to jump on a call and spend 10 minutes explaining how it works. But trust me, it's easy and simple. But I'm more than happy to share my 90-day sales plan with you, so that you could see how I bring all this together, and I end up being as effective as I can. And again, I promise I'm not perfect, but I am pretty effective at lead generation, and I'm pretty effective at closing deals. And if I can share that and help you, I will do. Last thing, if I can just beg your indulgence, just to reiterate, if what we do resonates with anybody, please feel free to contact us. We'd love to talk to you, whether that be over the telephone, email now, choose your channel, or if you'd want to join us in person in London, Berlin and Mumbai. We are hoping to add some dates for North America. However, logistically, that's taken us a little bit more time to organise at the moment. We are hoping to organise some other dates for that, so we would love to for you to come with us. So, my last point would be big thank you again. Thank you to everybody for registering. Thank you for everybody who supports these webinars. If you're watching on YouTube, again, I'm super grateful for everybody that follows the YouTube channel, and I'd be grateful if you could like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube platform. If you're dialing in from LinkedIn, as most of our audience is, then again, thank you so much, and please like and follow Klozers. If you could dive over to our company page, follow the company page. You're welcome to connect with me. And if you've got any questions, again, I'm more than happy to answer them. And you can do that in the message on LinkedIn, or just email me. You've got my email address. So forgive me, a bit of a rant, a bit of a blurb. I hope you got value out of it. And I hope you have a great sales year. And I'm so excited about this sales year. It's just going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. It's going to be fantastic, and I hope you are. And I hope you have a great sales year. Thank you, and that's it. Thank you. Bye.